Hello everyone, and welcome to the 4th episode of Korean Cinema Today. Here in Seoul, this is Pierce Conran, and I'll be talking to you today about what's going on in the world of Korean cinema. Korean Cinema is the podcast from KOBIZ, which is the online portion of the Korean Film Council. To keep up with the latest news, features, and interviews on Korean film, be sure to visit our website at koreanfilm.or.kr. There you can also find our webzine, which is also called Korean Cinema Today, as well as subscribe to our newsletter, and of course, tune in again to this podcast. Don't forget that we are also very active on social media, so please find us on Twitter at twitter.com/Korean Film Biz, all one word, biz is B-I-Z, or on Facebook at facebook.com/kobiz.kofic. That's KOBIZ.KOFIC. If you want to find this podcast again, you can look for it in iTunes with the search term Korean Cinema Today. This is Pierce Conran. I am one of the journalists for the Korean Film Council, responsible for some of those news items, features, and interviews on the website. I am also the Korean correspondent for international film website twitchfilm.com, as well as the founder and editor of Korean film blog modernkoreancinema.com. Today we will have the great pleasure of welcoming Korean actress Kim Kot-bi, star of many acclaimed independent films such as Breathless and last year's Pluto. But first, let's have a quick look at the news roundup for Korean film. No Young-suk's sophomore feature Intruders has been invited to the International Film Festival Rotterdam. It is the first Korean film to be invited to the illustrious Independent Film Festival in the Netherlands. The festival itself will take place from January 22nd to February 2nd. And this is No Young-suk's second time at the festival. His debut film, Daytime Drinking, was also invited to Rotterdam back in 2009. Korean films, of course, are very popular in Rotterdam. In previous years, many of them have won the Tiger Award, which is the top prize of the festival. Hong Sang-soo was the first Korean filmmaker to win the prize with his debut film, The Day a Pig Fell into the Well, back in 1997. In 2003, director Park Chan-wook won the same award with his film Jealousy is My Middle Name. The filmmaker returned to the festival 6 years later with his next film, Paju, which served as the opening film of the festival. Yang Yuk-chun's Breathless also won the award back in 2010, and most recently, Journals of Musan from Park Chung-bom, which was a debut film as well, won the award just 2 years ago. No Young-suk's Intruders had its premiere at the Rotterdam International Film Festival, and it will be playing in the Bright Future section of Rotterdam. In casting news, there is a new project called Sang Ui-won, which will be the sophomore feature of Lee Won-suk, who directed the very colorful new rom-com from earlier this year called How to Use Guys with Secret Tips. The new film will feature Han Seok-kyu and Go-soo as members of the Sang-wi-won, which is a name for the makers of royal costumes, royal attire back in the Joseon Dynasty period. They will kind of face off against each other, and their garments will throw the king and queen, played by Park Shin-hye and Yoo Yeon-suk, into a special situation. Ma Dong-seok also stars in the film. Korean exhibitor CGV, which is an offshoot of CJ Entertainment, have had an enormous year this year. They recorded, expecting to record over 100 million admissions throughout the year, which makes them the 5th largest exhibitor in the world. Now, CGV not only operate theaters in Korea, they also have a theater in the US, as well as a number of theaters in China and Vietnam, where they are actually the top exhibitor. This was a record Korean year, of course, and this is the first time that a local exhibitor has exceeded 100 million admissions. As of last week, 4.12 visits were recorded per capita. That's 4.12 tickets sold to each Korean citizen in 2013. There's been a number of remakes recently, and the trend continues with a planned remake of Kim Ji-woon's 2010 feature I Saw the Devil, starring Lee Byung-hun and Choi Min-sik. U.S. production company 1984 Private Defense Contractors will helm the remake. They were previously responsible for such genre fare as Dredd, the remake of Judge Dredd, The Grey, and the Brad Pitt starring film Killing Them Softly. As of yet, no director, cast, or writers attached to the project. We just have the production company. This week's box office, there was a clear winner. It was the first week of the new film The Attorney, starring Song Kang-ho, and the film attracted a total of 1.38 million admissions in its opening weekend. It was a very large figure, larger than most anticipated, and this is truly an outstanding year for Song Kang-ho. It's his third hit, following Snowpiercer and The Face Reader, which stand as the first and second and third most successful Korean films of this year, just behind Miracle in Cell No. 7. And in total, the actors' films have already accumulated over 20 million admissions. Through Christmas, the film has done very, very well, attracting 640,000 admissions on Christmas Day, which is the largest Christmas Day haul of any film in Korea, and the film seems poised to do very well in future. It's already over the 3 million admission mark, and reservations remain very strong. Dropping to number 2 was the second film in Peter Jackson's Hobbit trilogy, The Desolation of Smaug. The film attracted another 380,000 admissions, which was about 55% down from its debut. The film was attracted a little less than 2 million admissions so far, and it seems to be dropping a little fast, which will be a lower performance than the original film. However, a problem with a dispute over distribution fees between Warner Brothers and CGV and Lotte meant that the film did not play in those exhibitors' locations in the Seoul metropolitan area. Those account for approximately a third of admissions in the country, so obviously that must have affected the the box office chances of the film. Coming in at number 3 was About Time, the new working title romance. This film famously responsible for Love Actually, a very popular film in Korea. That film went on re-release over Christmas here, 10 years after it was first released. About Time is now over the 2 million admission mark. It has a distinction of having accumulated more money in Korea than any other territory. That includes its native UK, where it attracted about $12 million worth of receipts, and it also got $15 million in the US. It's currently over $16 million here in Korea, so a remarkable show of the company's popularity here in the country. Sliding down to number 5 was the Jeon Do-yeon and Go-soo drama Way Back Home, which had a decent debut but fell down to 275,000 admissions. And now, a few days later, it is over the 1.5 million mark, but perhaps some will see that as a disappointment. Opening with a fairly small total, number 5 was the new Kim Ha-jung romantic comedy Steal My Heart from Lotte Entertainment. The film was previously known by Catch Me. Those are two titles for the same picture. The film opened with 210,000 admissions over last weekend. Other films further down the list were Children's Fair Walking with Dinosaurs 3D, as well as Planes and Saving Santa. Further down still was the third week for horror sequel Insidious Chapter 2. And in limited release, the Japanese film Like Father, Like Son, which debuted at the Cannes Film Festival earlier this year, had a positive showing with over 10,000 admissions, during its opening weekend from only 40 locations. So that was it was a busy weekend at the box office. The Christmas period has been quite busy, and numbers are expected to remain strong into this coming weekend. This week for In Focus, I wanted to put An Son-kyung's sophomore feature, PASCHA, in the spotlight. The film premiered at the Busan International Film Festival back in October, and it's played in the New Current section, which is, of course, reserved for Asian debut or sophomore features. And ultimately, come festival's end, it won the New Currents Award, which it shared along with the film Remote Control. Anne's first film was A Blind River from 2009. PASCHA is a low-budget indie, which features a 40-year-old struggling screenwriter who is living with her sensitive 17-year-old lover as well as a brood of cats. One of her cats falls ill and is brought to the vet, and the prognosis isn't very good, and she braces herself for the worst. The veterinary costs are putting some financial pressure on the couple, and of course the age difference it means that their respective families are not all too pleased about their relationship. Now, when the younger lover is called into military service, this of course brings their relationship to the edge of breaking point. That's pretty much it in terms of story, but the film is it's very lyrical. You can feel that it's quite personal and autobiographical. It has, for me, it left quite a strong impact, reminding me of some of my past experiences, not to mention my fondness for cats. I grew up with many cats in my household when I grew up. But it's a very sweet film that discusses many difficult social aspects in Korea, a lot of pressure on who you need your relationships and who you want to marry. The age gap is something that's not very frequently tolerated in the country. And throwing into the mix the military, obligatory military service, there's quite a lot that the director is talking about. For some, the film might be difficult. It has some surprisingly harsh scenes, which are very much few and far between. But for me, these added to the overall effect of the film. Highly recommended, for me anyway. And the film is now available in the authorized section of the Kobe's online screening. If you are a film professional, you can, of course, request registration to Kobiz's online screening service. Simply visit screening.koreanfilm.or.kr and click on through to the register page. Well, that's it for Korean Cinema Today and our special interview with Kim Kotbi this week. Thank you for joining us, and please be sure to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, and you can find us there by searching for the title Korean Cinema Today. That's it for this week, and please tune in again next time to hear about the latest in Korean film.